Hey guys, I've noticed that a lot of you are 18 to 25-year-olds from India or the United Kingdom, and I wanted to give you some advice for if I had to do exams again. Hopefully, I don't have exams anymore in my life because I finished my degree, finished my A levels in the UK, but I wanted to give some advice to anyone that's doing exams, especially because of the anxiety and dread that you feel to do those exams, and how I passed my exams and this technique that I used to get a first in my degree. This technique I'm about to share works for maths and science, mainly because I have an engineering background. I don't quite know how this will work for people who use English and stuff, but I excelled in physics, computing, and maths kind of subjects. So this technique that I'm about to share to you really works well if you have just one big exam at the end of the year and you just have to cram. I use this technique when, I wouldn't recommend this, but sometimes I will only have a day to revise for an exam because I'm a lazy person. And this is how I gamified my exam things to get the maximum results with the littlest effort. And if I be honest, reflecting back, if I did this from the start of the year instead of the end of the year for the exams, this would have worked much better. What we're fundamentally going to do is make a cheat sheet. And I want you to pretend this cheat sheet and this in my case, it used to be an A4 piece of paper, and it's just a blank A4 paper, double-sided if you want it to be. You could do two, but I did it one-sided. And you are allowed to take this paper to the exam. I want you to pretend you can take this paper to the exam, and it's completely fine. It's legal and everything. Obviously, in the real exam, you can't. But I want you to pretend as you're studying, you can reference this piece of paper as many times as you like. And now we're going to make an assumption. And now this assumption makes an ass out of you and me if it fails. So therefore I want you to make it very clear this is an assumption. And the assumption is that the person who wrote the paper this year for you, who's never seen this paper before, is actually lazy. And what I mean by lazy here is that this person is going to use past papers and change up a little bit of his questions this year instead of making a whole new paper from scratch. Like, if I had to make a whole new book, that's a lot of effort. But if I copied like 5 or 6 books from different authors and merged it together, that's a lot easier. And if I be honest, that's what happens in the book industries too. But in the context of past papers, we're going to assume the person is lazy and use past papers and change the numbers or something a bit, just a little bit. So I've got the OCR MEI, I believe, past papers for maths in this case. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4 past papers. Now, your school might have more, but you need to be able to find past papers or past questions. If you don't have past papers, I'll give you another technique, but for now, let's assume you've got past papers or some questions to answer. Now, from this question, we're gonna, it's brilliant. It's got the question paper and it's got the mark scheme. So we're just gonna pop these two up and just have a quick look. Okay, cool. This is a great paper. And it's got the mark scheme right here. Awesome. These are the information. These are the two things that we need to do well. If you don't have past papers, your lecturers would have given you questions and tutorials and also how to solve it and answers. This is a very efficient way to do it because I just assume you haven't been taking lectures or anything or whatever, right? This depends on your resources. I very much doubt that your teacher's job is to make you pass the exam. That they don't have these kind of resources. That also you can actually make it from scratch from the start of the year. You can make your own questions and make your own solutions, right? So, let's before we start on breaking down each question and how I would go about studying, it's important to know the duration of the exam. This is now more exam technique. Now, I want you to know this is 1.5 hours, right? For the first time you do this, I want you to double it and double it again, yeah? This paper is going to take you 6 hours because we don't know anything. We're going in blind, yeah? Give yourself 6 hours to this paper. This is to get rid of the anxiety in your feeling. Because right now, when you first do a past paper without studying, you're going to be terrified because you won't be able to figure this question 1 out, simplify this expression, right? You might not be able to do that, and you don't know how to do that, and that's terrifying. And so I want to give yourself 6 hours if you want to time yourself. But what I'm trying to say is, it's going to take a long time, yeah? So obviously, if you're time crunched and you're a stupid person like me, don't be like that. Don't give yourself 1 day before an exam. But give yourself a liberal amount of time, like a day, just to do this one paper with the mile scheme. As you keep doing this and doing every question with the answer and know where to get to, you'll go through the whole paper. Now, it could take you 6 hours, it could take you more, it doesn't matter. It's just studying at this point. You have the question, you have the answer, and you've got your cheat sheet. What I would like you to do is have a rest. It could be a 5-minute meditation session, it could be a new day or whatever. But then I want you to do the paper again, the same paper that you struggled on, without the mark scheme, but with the cheat sheet. Okay? So the difference here is that we're no longer using the mark scheme, we're using the cheat sheet. And this is the same paper, so you should be, your reference paper should be the master. And if I be honest, you could have written the whole mark scheme in the cheat sheet if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. The key is not to look at the mark scheme now. The key is to just do the cheat sheet. Once you've now done the paper twice, so this whole paper you've done twice now, well done. So that's taking you 12 hours total, if based on my assumption, yeah? And now you have the best cheat sheet for this paper. I would like you now to condense that cheat sheet again to a fourth piece of paper or whatever, and make it look streamlined and clean, yeah? And then the goal is for this one paper, whenever you're doing a new day, is to get 100%. Because you have the cheat sheet and you have the mark scheme before, and you've been reviewing it multiple times. And if you can't get 100%, why can you get 100% with a paper that you won't know how to do it? So in this case, you need to get 100%. It's very important you aim for the 100%. If you don't get 100%, you've got to do it again. That's the rule, okay? So now you've got one paper that you've got 100% on with the cheat sheet that you could reference back, right? I now want you to get a second piece of paper without looking at the mark scheme and only your cheat sheet. I want you to do this paper and see what you get. Now, if that was 80% or whatever and you got some wrong, I want you to update your reference and do this paper again until you get 100%. Now, at this point, you've done one paper and two paper. Now, this is a new day, so if it's a new day, you do the paper again until you get 100%. And you do the second paper again. And what I used to do is when I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper, whatever I did, I'll do the first one. If I don't get 100%, I'll then put it back to the backlog to do it again. Until I keep rinsing the cycle until I get 100%, and then my reference sheet is perfect, essentially, right? And the key here is, at the beginning I told you that one paper should take you 6 hours. But your second paper will probably take you half the time. And then the third paper will take you probably on time with the exam. And the aim is to be able to complete one paper, and this could be this old paper, because you're just doing it over and over again, in quarter of the time assigned. So if it's 1.5, 1.5 hours, that's 45 minutes, 45 divided by 2 is 25 minutes-ish, yeah? So let's just say 20 minutes, right? You should be able to finish one paper in 20 minutes, and I'll tell you why that's crucial in a second. So at this point, each paper, because you've already seen the first paper, will take you 20 minutes. The second paper will take you 20 minutes. And the third paper will take you 20 minutes. So in 1 hour, you've done 3 papers, right? The fourth paper, which let's just say this is a new paper that you haven't seen before, will take you in between 20 to the exam time length. It won't take you double the time, yeah? But you get to add new data to your reference sheet. At this point, your reference sheet, I'd be very surprised if you're using it at all. You're actually recalling everything you need to recall from the reference sheet. And if there's any new information, you'll add it to the reference sheet. And again, keep remaking the reference sheet, because you need to memorize the reference sheet, because you might not be able to take it to the exam, but you have it in your head. And actually, one of the first things I used to do in the exam was rewrite my reference sheet in the exam before I start my exams. Why it's really important to finish a paper really quickly now is because each paper is no longer scary to you. You can just have 3, 4, 5, whatever paper, and that's just your to-do list. And it's very low effort. Very low effort. And all you need to do is, because you know this material now, it will only take you 20 minutes, in this case 20 times 5 minutes, right? 1 hour 40. Just do it. Just cram it out, speed through it.
And then if you don't get 100%, that's not good enough. You have the marks, you should be getting 100%. And this is a very addictive and very fun way to prepare for exams. Because by the time, if you have anxiety before your exam day, just do another paper. It will calm your nerves down. You can do it. Now, I'm going to talk about some exam technique with this method that I used after I mastered the gamification of the exams, where I know that I just tricked you into preparing for exam, but this is the end goal. You need to be ready for exam. But now we're going to do exam technique and then why the 20-minute matters. So this is this any question. So I'm going to assume you have like 10 questions. So I'm just numbering 10 questions, right? And because you can do it in 20 minutes, you should be very confident to skim through this whole paper. Yeah? And so basically, because you can do it in 20 minutes, it means you can do it fast for equal. So you look at question 1, easy, do it, done. Number 2, easy, done. Question 3, however, makes you go, I can't do it. That's when you need to know to skip it. So I usually made the giant star, literally like that, and just left it. Because at this point, because you're so good at recalling and you practice, your wrist should be hurting from all the writing, right? The fact that it's making you think means that there's too much brain. But the measure was if it took longer than 5 seconds, I'll put a star, right? So I'll go through this whole paper and I'll have some ticks, because ticks being that I've done it, and I've got some stars, yeah? And now once I finish the paper once, because you can finish it in a quarter of the time, I'll go back to the start question. And if it takes me longer than, let's say, 3 minutes after thinking, I'll put a double star and then go to the next question. And then, and this one I can solve in 3 minutes, I'll then go back to the questions that took me longer than 3 minutes. And I have all the rest of the exam time to solve this question and also recheck all my answers. This is now why the recall is so, why this technique is so good. Because you know all the easy, obvious questions, so you've done all the paper in a quarter of the time. And you have all the time in the world to answer the hard questions that you haven't seen before. And at this point, you're making a link, you can reference the old papers from like, this was from 2005 and blah, blah, blah. In your brain. Your brain is a very powerful, capable thing. One thing I like to just add, I taught this exam technique to my university friends later on as I went through my academic journey. And we would, before the exam, quiz each other to catch each other out on an exam question or tutorial question that we knew the other person hasn't seen yet. And we will make our own questions to catch the other person out. And then we'll refine that reference sheet. So this is where collaborative, having a friend that has similar technique as you is really beneficial, because at this point you guys are very fine-tuned and essentially masters of this exam paper. And then now you go, okay, imagine if I wasn't a lazy examiner, I had to make this exam paper, what kind of questions would I answer? Would I ask the student to catch them out? And then you're at this point you're pretty much fine-tuned. Good luck and have fun. I hope this was useful, and I hope this makes your exam technique a little bit less scary, a little bit less daunting, and a little bit more fun. See you guys in a bit.